Bring in Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty. Senator, President-elect Trump has hit the ground running, generating a tremendous amount of excitement. We see that. But the naysayers are out there, and they're specifically looking at these tax cuts. And on the wall, they're saying, hey, tax cuts would cost $5.3 trillion just on the modifications. If you don't tax overtime, that's going to cost $2 trillion. If you don't tax Social Security, it's going to cost $1.3 trillion. I always thought it was weird that letting people keep what they earn costs the government, but still, that's what they're saying. What do you say to folks out there who become a little bit worried when they hear these kind of stories?
Well, Charles, they should look and see what happened back when the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was put into place. What we've seen is federal revenues increase as a result of the capital expenditures that were made as a result of the incentives that were in that act. And if you think about it, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy are coming in with a massive effort to basically overhaul the federal government. This is one of the most wasteful bureaucracy I've ever seen. And there's huge opportunity there to cut spending, to cut waste. That's where we should be focusing our efforts, and again, doing everything that we can to incentivize capital investment, because that capital investment will yield a return. You know this better than anybody, Charles. And that return on investment will drive, greater efficiency and greater economies here in America. America will be stronger again. That will support stronger military. That will support stronger diplomacy. It all works the way President Trump is viewing it right now.
Senator, let's talk about that. This the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. So here's our 2024 fiscal year. The government took in $4.92 trillion. By the way, to your point, it was positive growth after the tax cuts, but they can't stop spending. Outlay $6.75 trillion. And then here they say, well, you can't touch some of these programs, right? You can't touch Social Security. You can't touch health. You can't touch Medicare. You can't touch national defense. And so you've got these little slivers down here. I mean, where does the sacrifice come from?
Well, there are a lot of areas with all the ones you mentioned, if they remain untouched, you've still got plenty of opportunities. You look in the mandatory spending realm, there's billions upon billions of dollars that are just in the other category. I think when Elon and Vivek get a laser focus on this, they're putting a team together right now, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity. And again, as our economy begins to grow with more capital investment, which is exactly what President Trump will incentivize, we're going to see revenues move in the right direction as well. But let's cut the excess spending and waste. We can do this. There is a massive opportunity here in Washington, D.C.
And by the way, I do agree with you on that. And I also think even within those big buckets I talked about, there's so much probably waste and fraud in those alone that we just need someone to take it and maybe fight their way through the bureaucrats, because they're going to be the ones standing in the way. Senator, you also sit on the Foreign Relations Committee, and I want to get your thoughts, right? It's November 6th, and it's been nonstop around the world. These world leaders calling President-elect Trump and then taking action. Now, I'm calling it the Trump effect, what I'm starting to see, including a report today that Germany has banned Russian gas from its ports. This is what Trump talked about, right? I mean, these are the opportunities. It was always dumb in my mind, though, for Germany not to do this in the first place.
You're exactly right. The Trump effect is real, Charles. It's been taking place ever since he won the election. The EU immediately broke out and said, wow, maybe we should stop using Russian natural gas and use U.S. LNG. It makes so much sense. President Trump will lift the LNG export ban immediately. That has to be one of the dumbest geostrategic moves I have ever seen. The Biden administration, of course, proud of this. We're going to be in a position very, very soon to become the strongest geostrategic partner of every nation in the world because of our abundant energy. We're going to get back into business again. If you think about our financial markets, the most robust in the world, you're the best commentator on this. We've got to make certain that those financial markets are strong. They're not getting diverted on social policy issues. They're not being regulated out of existence. We have the opportunity here to make America stronger than ever, and that'll make us a tremendous ally around the world. Look at what happened. The Qataris have kicked Hamas leadership out immediately after Trump takes office. You see the UK stepping up their defense expenditures. They're going to go to 2.5% of GDP, again, immediately after President Trump wins his election. It's already happening. We're going to see the world a lot safer place even before President Trump steps into office.
I love you brought that up and sort of shifted here to the sort of geopolitical hotspots. So this morning I read that Russia's international the reserves they've collapsed. They've absolutely collapsed. You start cutting off these major resources, revenue sources like the natural gas. Maybe we get India to hold back a little bit here. I know that the experts say it will take a long time to wind down the Russia-Ukraine war, but I think the economic pressure that Trump could bring on Russia could bring them, by the way, and also losing 1,500 soldiers a day.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. The economic pressure can and will be real. This current administration uses a $60 a barrel cap. I remind them that oil wasn't at $60 a barrel when President Trump was in office. You think about it, Russia was at break even when President Trump was in office. They didn't have the resources to do this. As soon as Joe Biden comes in and wages war on domestic energy here in the United States, he raises energy costs worldwide. What does that do? That puts Russia in a financial position to wage war anywhere they'd like. So you think about the missteps of the Biden administration and the fact that that has precipitated the war in Ukraine, it's precipitated the war in the Middle East. All of this has to do with the non-enforcement of sanctions. The next Treasury Secretary has a great opportunity to come in and bring peace around the world by the enforcement of sanctions that are already on the book.
Before I let you go, sir, I know you have a new leader. It wasn't necessarily the candidate you backed, although everyone was cordial, and I don't think there was a lot that separated the three gentlemen. But one area that there could be some contention is with the Federal Reserve and just how much oversight there should be with them. Listen, I think I speak for the American public when everyone agrees it's an opaque organization that feels like we have no control over. It's quasi-government, works for American banks. How much more oversight should there be over the Federal Reserve, which arguably is the most powerful entity in the world outside of the U.S. government?
No, it's terribly powerful, as you say, Charles. And I think the oversight particularly should be focused on the areas where the Federal Reserve takes regulatory action. If you look at what the Vice Chair for Regulation Barr has been doing in terms of the Basel III endgame, overstepping his bounds, in my mind, tremendously. If you look at what's happening at the San Francisco Fed, writing papers on climate change rather than actually supervisory work that they should have been doing, and they stand by and watch Silicon Valley Bank fail. There needs to be some supervision at the Federal Reserve. They've gotten off the rails in a number of places. They need to stay out of social policy. They need to get back to regulation. I think that's a very appropriate area for oversight.
Senator Hagerty, thank you so much. You are a great American, and you are one of the most knowledgeable members of the Senate to connect Main Street to policy, and that's going to be so important over the next few days. So next few months. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, great to be with you. Thanks.